We will have a little grace period here in this first class and first division in each ring. However, once we get started, we will not hold classes up to wait for you in the holding ring. You will need to be on time for your divisions. So once we get started, make sure you follow along and be to the holding ring on time. We're going to make that final call for Class 1F in our intermediate division, which is on the north side. We are going to get started. Going to make that final call for the 6- and 7-year-olds. If you are not in the ring, we are getting ready to bring them into the class. You need to be in the ring at this time. Final call for the 6- and 7-year-old division in the south ring. Final call for the first class of 12-year-olds, 1-F class in the north ring. In our south ring, we are now bringing in our 6 and 7-year-old division in this ring. We do only have one heat of class for the 6 and 7-year-olds. We're going to make that first call for our 8-year-old division in the south ring. First call for our 8-year-old division in the south ring. We are currently showing our 6 and 7-year-old division in the south ring. If you would, in our 12-year-old ring, in our intermediate 12-year-old ring, we are now bringing in Class 1F, our first heat of 12-year-old showmen. They are showing in our north ring. We'll make that first call for Class 2F, our second heat of 12-year-old showmen. First call in our north ring for Class 2F, our 12-year-old showman. We do want to welcome everybody to the 52nd Annual North American Livestock Exposition. We're currently showing our Market Lamb Showmanship, and we do want to welcome our judge in our south ring, Greg Ahart from Sacramento, California. If you would, let's please give a big Midwest welcome to Greg Ahart for helping us with our junior showmanship today. In our north ring, we want to welcome our judge for our intermediate division, Mr. Nick Infield from Maxwell, Iowa. If you would, let's show our appreciation for Nick and give him a big round of applause for being with us today. We're going to make that final call for Class 2F in our 12-year-old division. If you are in that second heat, 2F in our 12-year-old division, You need to be in the holding ring at this time. Second and final call for Class 2F in our 12-year-old second heat. If you would, let's show our appreciation to the young people in that first heat of 12-year-olds and put our hands together for the great job that they did in our first division. At this time, we are bringing in 2F into our north ring, which is our second heat of 12-year-olds. In our north ring, our second class of 12-year-olds are now entering the ring. At the conclusion of this heat, we will pick our top 10 12-year-old showmen. We will need those 5 contestants ringside and ready that were taken from our first class. in our north ring. Let's show our appreciation to the young people around the rail as we dismiss those from the second heat, and we'll bring in our top 5 from each heat for our first through 10 in our 12-year-old division. Again, put your hands together for a great division. Ladies and gentlemen, as we dismiss this very large and extremely competitive 6- and 7-year-old division, let's show our appreciation to these young people by putting your hands together. We are now showing our final drive of our 12-year-old division in the north ring. We are currently bringing in our final drive for our 12-year-old division in the north ring. We're going to make that first call for the first heat of 13-year-olds. We are going to make the first call for the first heat of the 13-year-olds, and that is Class 1G. So if you are in the first heat and you are in Class 1G, you need to check in at the holding ring. We're going to make that final call for Class B in the south ring, our 8-year-olds. All our 8-year-old contestants should be in the holding ring at this time. You should be in the north or the south holding ring for Showmanship if you are an 8-year-old in Market Lamb Showmanship. Final call for Class B 8-year-olds in the south ring.
So as we look at the youngsters over here on the more youthful side, I got to tell you, the young lady that starts the class, she became a favorite of mine when I was going through at the very beginning, and I said hi to everybody, and I asked her if the young lady that was dressed like her was her sister, and she informed me that that was her twin sister and that she was the better sheep showman. So at that point in time, I decided I liked her. I liked her a lot. I asked her sister if it was true, and her sister said, no, it's not. But the first one made the impression, and she did an awfully good job. And I got to tell you, she backed it up out here and did a wonderful job. I love the fact she was comfortable going down alongside the sheep. I love the fact she didn't think she needed to stand in front of her the whole time. We switched with the young lady that's in second. She did a very commendable job on the bigger white ewe lamb. And in my mind, great top pair of showmen, but I still think we have a cut of decent size with the young lady that wins this class. So congratulations, and I hope you're very proud of yourself. The young lady with the big white ewe lamb that came in second out here, tremendous intensity. I like the posture. I like the eye contact. I love the fact that she's paying attention to me the whole time out here, because not everybody did that. And really, I felt like her only considerations in the ring was her sheep and me, and I thought that was absolutely great. The black ewe lamb didn't cooperate quite as well for her when we switched at the end. Small details. Not going to complain about a single solitary thing that she did. Great job. Congratulations on coming in second in a very tough class. The lower placing of the two sisters that comes in here in third, I think did a darn nice job. And I'm hopeful that her parents are going to spend a lot of time buying her ice cream and other treats this evening, because she had a great attitude, great eye contact, and did a wonderful job in her own right out here. And I think, again, came in very high in a tough class. The young man with the big ewe lamb in fourth place, I'd like to see this ewe stretched out a little bit. For me, her front feet got off a few times with him, and I know her hind feet are a little bit harder to chase considering the overall size of the sheep, but I would like to see him keep a bit closer eye on the two front feet and make sure that we have them where they need to be. I love the fact that he was comfortable showing a sheep that substantially outweighs him out here, and I think he did so with a very, very credible job. Great eye contact, great presence in the ring. And the same goes for the young man that's in fifth place here. For me, I don't like the head on that sheep back as far over her body as it is. I'd like to see the neck come out just a little bit further forward on her. I think when he does that, the sheep wants to drop her top a bit. But what I do like is he's paying attention to me at all times. He's getting the feet set up on that ewe lamb. He's getting her feet out where they need to be. Gives me a lot of good looks of that sheep and does a really nice job walking her around the ring. Really fun class to get started on out here. Thank you very much.
We are now bringing in our 8-year-old division into our south ring. Our 8-year-olds are now entering the south ring. Our results of our 6- and 7-year-old division. Our champion goes to Brinley Newcomb. Second, and our reserve champion goes to Corbin Reppy. Third goes to Lakeland Newcomb. Fourth, Caden Asmus. Fifth, Raylan Sheehan. Sixth, Addison Herman. Seventh, Gracie Griffith. Eighth, Kaylee Florence. Ninth, Nash Holly. And 10th goes to Baylor Daniel. Those are the results of our 6- and 7-year-old division. At this time in our north ring, our class that is entering is Class 1G, our first division of our 13-year-old division. We're going to make that first call for our 9-year-olds on the south ring. If you are a 9-year-old, we're making your first call for the south ring, Class 3, to the holding ring. If you are in the 13-year-old division, we are now entering the ring with Class 1G, our first class of 13-year-old heat. If you are in Heat 2 of the 13-year-olds, we're going to make that first call to the holding ring, and that is Class 2G. We're going to make that first call for the second heat of 13-year-olds, Class 2G in the north ring. Our results in our 12-year-old division, our champion goes to Presley Johnson. Our reserve goes to Adeline Gilliott. Third goes to Landry Kruger. Fourth goes to Stella Anthauer. Fifth goes to Harper Horning. Sixth goes to Andy Swab. Seventh goes to Emma Teckett. Eighth goes to Miley Solly. Ninth goes to Harper McClure. And 10th goes to Gina Gibson. If you would, as we dismiss that first heat of 13-year-olds, let's put our hands together and show our appreciation for the hard work they've done as they leave the ring. We are now bringing in our second heat of 13-year-olds, Class 2G in our north ring. Now entering our north ring is our second heat of 13-year-olds, Class 2G. Going to make that first call for Class 3G in our 13-year-olds. You need to be in the holding ring. Our third heat, Class 3G in our 13-year-olds, you need to be headed to the holding ring. If you are a 9-year-old and you are in Market Lamb Showmanship, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. Going to make that last call for 9-year-old showman to the holding ring in our south ring. If you would, as we get that second division in our 13-year-olds sorted, let's show our appreciation to the young people that have come into the second heat of our 13-year-olds as they leave the ring. We are now bringing in Class 3G, our third division of 13-year-olds in the North Ring at this time. At the conclusion of this class, we will need the 10 young exhibitors that have been selected for our final drive for our 13-year-olds at the conclusion of this heat in the North Drive.
What a fun class to sort through over on this side. And while there wasn't the numbers in here that we had in the first class, I think the intensity and the drive at the top side of this class is very comparable. Really close top pair out here. Love the fact that the young man that's in first was comfortable going down alongside the sheep. He's comfortable being up in front of the sheep. I think he understands when he's down alongside of the ewe lamb what he needs to get done if he's not going to be up in front of her bracing. And I appreciate the versatility with which how he approached that. And I appreciated the fact that at the end when I switched the two sheep, I do think he got a bit better of a look out of the young lady's ewe lamb than the young lady did his ewe lamb. But a really, really nice top pair out here in this class. The young lady with the Dorset ewe lamb here in second place. I love the drive and the lift she gets out of that sheep when she gets up in front of it, and we see her getting the neck up. We see her kind of get the chest pulled up out of the sheep. There are times that the ewe lamb wants to come down a bit in her top, like right now, where I think if we rocked her back just a little bit, she might pop her hock back into place and maybe lift her top a bit. But I sure do love the eye contact and the focus that she has on getting the job done. Great attitude out here. Really appreciate what you've done to come in second in this class. Big old long-bodied Hamp Weather here with the ewe lamb, or the young lady that's in third place, and I think she struggled a bit sometimes to get back to the hind legs and get him exactly where I wanted him to be. I think the posture around the front end of the sheep is good. I think the eye contact and the intensity is good, and I think she gets some awfully nice looks out of that sheep. The young lady that's in fourth, much like the young man that's in first, was comfortable going down alongside of the animal as well as standing up in front of it. For me, when she is sitting alongside the lamb, I wish she'd keep the top up a bit more in this ewe lamb. The ewe lamb wants to be a little bit lazy, and I think if we're going to be down alongside, we still got to make sure we get the profile looking right, and if we could change that, I could see shifting you up a bit higher in this set out here. Congratulations on coming in high in a difficult class. The young lady that's in fifth place is a lot like the young lady that's in third in terms of she's got a big old weather that outweighs her a great deal, like the presence, like the eye contact, like the way she handles herself around the sheep. I'm going to say that the halter didn't help her in the final placing out here. I think she may have ended up higher if she didn't have that with her. I understand the weight differential that we have between her and the sheep, but beautifully presented animal. She knows how he's supposed to look and how he needs to look, and I think she does a very impressive job making all those things happen for me. Congratulations. Thank you.
We do want to throw a warning shot out here to all our champion and reserve champion exhibitors. We will show for an overall division. So in our junior division, we will bring the champion and reserve from the 6 and 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and 11-year-olds for an overall junior champion. So you need to be on standby at the completion of the 11-year-old division. In the intermediate division, we will have a champion overall with those champion and reserves from our 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and 15-year-old divisions. We are currently bringing in our 9-year-old Showman to the south ring. Our champion in our 8-year-old division goes to Maddox Thompson. Our reserve goes to Cagney Kraft. Third goes to Avery Kramer. Fourth goes to Aylin Nyer. Fifth goes to Reese Eller. Sixth goes to Emma Ratliff. Seventh goes to Brayson Walpe. Eighth goes to Madeline Trammell. Ninth goes to Hannah Taylor. And 10th goes to Ellie Schaufer. We are now showing our 9-year-olds in our south ring. If you would, please put your hands together as we dismiss that third division of our 13-year-olds in our north ring. At this time, we will be getting our 5 qualifiers from the 3 heats for our 13-year-olds to come in to show for our 1st through 10th 13-year-old division. We are now having our champion 13-year-old drive in our north ring. We want to make that first call for our 10-year-old division for that first heat of 10-year-olds. Class 1D is on deck in our south ring. You need to be in the holding ring if you're in the first heat of the 10-year-olds, Class 1D. We're going to make that first call for our first heat of 14-year-olds. If you are in Class 1H in the 14-year-old division, you need to be headed to the holding ring and check-in ring. Parents and showmen alike, if you are a champion or reserve, we will have a selection of an overall showman in each age division. In our junior division, that will be from the 6-year-olds to 11-year-olds, and we will pick those champions in that division immediately following the 11-year-old champion division. In our North Ring, in our intermediate division, if you are a champion or reserve from the 12, 13, 14, or 15-year-old divisions, we will pick that overall champion at the conclusion of our 15-year-old division. We currently should have our 10-year-old first heat, Class 1D, in the holding ring at this time. And that is in the South Ring. In our holding ring on the North Ring, we should currently have our 14-year-old first heat, Class 1H, in the holding ring. In the North Ring, we are currently picking our overall 13-year-old champions. In our South Ring, we are currently picking our overall 9-year-old champion showman. For you sheep enthusiasts, if you're interested in a bred ewe or a ewe lamb, we do have the premier bred ewe and ewe lamb sale at 7 p.m. It will be in the north side of the pavilion, and that sale starts at 7 p.m. this evening. We are now bringing in heat number 1, class 1H of our 14-year-old division in our north ring. We do need to make our first call for the second heat of 14-year-olds, and that would be class 2H. We're going to make that first call to the holding ring for our second heat of 14-year-olds, class 2H. Our champion in our 13-year-old division goes to Marley Massey. Our reserve goes to Whitney Williams. Third goes to Brock Shear. Fourth goes to Hayes Henderson. Fifth goes to Holly Faye Switzer. Sixth goes to Brinley Rice. Seventh goes to Lindsey Williams. Eighth goes to Avery Mullen. Ninth goes to Jamie Maxson. 10th goes to Audrey Hohenwater. If you are in the 10-year-old division, you do need to be in the holding ring in the south ring. If you are in the 10-year-old division, there is only one class and you need to be in the holding ring at this time. Excuse me, I misread that. If you are in the first heat of 10-year-olds in class 1D, you need to be in the holding ring. And then we will have a second heat in our 10-year-old division, class 2D.
As we sorted through this class, I do want to make a comment. And this is not directed at anybody in particular out here. It's just what I'm seeing so far. There's a tendency on social media right now, especially I've seen examples of showmanship that look borderline annoyed. And from my own perspective, I was taught from a very young age that you get more flies with honey than with vinegar. And I don't necessarily believe there's a need to look either irritated nor constipated when you're in showmanship. So I would caution some of the exhibitors that it's okay to soften your face and soften your looks a little bit, because some of you look just downright angry, and I find that a little bit off-putting. Personal opinion, but for what it's worth. As we sort through this class and get out here at the top side of it, the young lady that wins the class, just pleasant, solid, did a great job. When I intentionally got offside from him at one point, and she caught it, immediately reacted to it, went ahead and walked the lamb from the opposite side. I appreciate the attention to detail and the focus with that. I think as we sorted through the final three at the end, and I had them rotate through each of the three lambs, I think everybody had difficulty with all three of the sheep as we went through there. I think she did as good as anybody else going through there. But what I like is when she gets in front of that sheep, the head's up, she's kind of got him pulled up and tucked up and looking neat there. She does a great job with the eye contact. The sheep is beautifully presented. Congratulations. The young lady with the black weather lamb in second place, he's a little harder to show. He wants to fight her a little bit and throw his feet some. He wants to drop his top on her. And she does a nice job working with that. There's a little more activity here. There's a little more of a flurry of activity every time we move that sheep. He is making her work a lot harder than I think the young lady's lamb first made her work. I think you did a very good job with kind of a bit of a jerk to show, but I wish the sheep would cooperate just a bit more for you to have a better showmanship experience out here. I appreciate your patience and your tenacity as you worked your way through it, and that really has a place in the world. So that's a great trait and skill that's coming out of this activity for you. Congratulations. Young lady in third, big white sheep. It's another one when she gets up in front of him, gets his head up and his neck pulled out of him. I think he's a sheep that she gets a really nice silhouette on. And I think she understands how he's supposed to look from the side view. For me, I'd like to see the belly wool blended in a bit better if we're going to be super competitive out here in showmanship. But I think she knows where his feet are supposed to be. She knows how to get his head up. Like I said, everybody had a bit of difficulty working their way through the three animals at the end. I think in my mind she may have had the most difficulty of the three. But this sheep, when she gets up in front of him, absolutely has him on the silhouette just looking like $1 million. The young man that's in fourth place, really pretty lightweight weather lamb here. He too does a very nice job of getting up in front of the sheep, maintaining good eye contact. For me, I think we chased the feet and legs a bit on him. I don't know that we always had him set up as squarely as I would like to see, but I like the look, I like the visual, I like the way you work with the sheep and get his head up and make it look right. Young lady in fifth, I'm going to call you out on something. When I came around the front side over there, her left front leg was out of place, and instead of reaching down and picking it up, you kicked it in a hurry with your foot to try to get it back over there. That is when I decided I was going to pull you and put you into fifth out here. It was that one moment in time. Take the time, pick the foot up, set it right. That did cost you out here. Visually, great eye contact. You know where I'm at. You know where the sheep's at. You know how the sheep needs to be set up. It's the only thing I'm going to call out on you. Great job. Thank you.
We are now bringing in our second heat of 14-year-olds into the north ring. We're bringing in our second heat of 14-year-olds in the north ring. And in our south ring, we are now bringing in our first heat, class 1D of 10-year-olds in our south ring. We'll make that first call for class 2D 10-year-olds, the second heat of 10-year-olds to the holding ring. We're now bringing in 1D to the ring. Did I say we were on the... Going to make that first call of 14-year-olds in class 3H to the holding ring in our north arena. Make that first call of 14-year-olds in our north arena, class 3H. Our results of our 9-year-old division. Our champion goes to Paisley Krangle. Reserve goes to Betsy Youngpeter. Third goes to Paisley Holloway. Fourth goes to Hunter Solzner. Fifth goes to Callie Tennant. Sixth goes to Elizabeth Whipperforth. Seventh goes to Tyson Black. Eighth goes to Maislin Sully. Ninth goes to Raylan Artman. And 10th goes to Nash Johnson. Going to make that final call for the 14-year-old third heat, which is class 3H. You need to be in the holding ring at this time. We'll make the final call for class 2D, the second heat of 10-year-olds in the south ring at this time. If you would, let's put our hands together for the hard work of those 14-year-olds as they are released from the ring. We are now showing our third heat, Class 3H, of our 14-year-old age division. At the conclusion of this class, we will need those 10 showmen that were selected from our first two heats for our overall 14-year-old showmen. So we'll make that first call for those 10 showmen that have been selected from our first two heats in our 14-year-old division to be ringside and ready. If you are a 10-year-old and you are in our second class, Class 2D, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. We need to have that second heat of 10-year-olds in the holding ring at this time. If you would, let's put our hands together for this first 10-year-old division as they are released from the ring. Please show them a big round of applause and appreciation for doing a nice job. In our south ring, we are currently bringing in our second division of 10-year-olds. We are bringing in Class 2D, our second division of 10-year-olds to the ring at this time. If you would, let's put our hands together and show our appreciation to those young 14-year-old showmen that are leaving the ring at this time. In our south ring, we are getting ready to show for our champion overall 14-year-old showman in our in our north ring. We are now bringing in our overall champion showman for our 14-year-olds in our north ring. We do need to have those 5 10-year-old showmen that were selected out of the first drive of our 10-year-old division ringside and ready, please. You need to be in the holding ring at this time if you are one of those top 5 selected 10-year-old showmen. Please put your hands together for as we dismiss that second division of our 10-year-old class. In our north ring, we are currently showing for our overall 14-year-old showman. If you are in the 15-year-old division and you are in the first heat, which is class 1I, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. If you are in the first heat, class 1I in the 15-year-old division, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. In our south ring, we are currently showing for our overall 10-year-old showman. We're going to make that first call for class 1E, our 11-year-old showmanship first heat. First call for class 1E, our 11-year-old showman first heat. If you are in the first heat of 11-year-olds, Class 1E, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. If you are in the first heat of 15-year-olds, Class 1I, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. We are now showing heat 1I in the north ring of our first heat of our 15-year-olds. If you are in the second heat of 15-year-olds, you need to be headed toward the holding ring, and that is Class 2I. We'll make that first call for that second heat of 15-year-olds to the north holding ring. Our results of our 14-year-old division. Our champion goes to Hayden Bryant. Our reserve goes to Aria Nair. Third goes to Lillian Walderher. Fourth goes to Adeline Slick. Fifth goes to Addie Dunlap. Sixth goes to Kylie Blevins. Seventh goes to Chloe Alar. Eighth goes to Gentry Baus. Ninth goes to Addie Rohr. And 10th goes to Andrew Helbach. Oh, wait, I guess. For those senior showmen, we will not take a break. When we get going, we will announce where you're going by age division at the first available ring. So the 16-year-olds will be the first division I will be calling for. And we will tell you whether you're going to the north or south ring when we find the first availability. So senior 16-year-olds, you need to be getting ready. You will start immediately following the completion of the first division, whether it be the junior division or intermediate division.
Really fun age group to sort through, and I think the top three exhibitors out here are really, really competitive amongst themselves. As we rotated through the sheep at the end here and everybody had to show all three sheep, I think the young man did the most convincing job to me of getting that done. I honestly think I got an even better look out of the ewe lamb in third from him grabbing her than what we've seen consistently throughout this. I want to commend you. I think the ability to adapt, and as we migrate through here, was your ability there was very, very impressive, and I appreciate that. Does a nice job with the ewe lamb. Sometimes for me, the hind legs are out just a little bit too far, but he knows how to keep her top line looking right, keeps her head up. I think as we rotated through, he was so convincing in handling the other two sheep. Very impressive. Congratulations to you. Young lady that's in second place. From the moment she came into the ring, you're welcome. From the moment she came into the ring, she looked like a very competitive showman and never disappointed me. I think the ewe lamb has a screw that comes loose as she gets over there, up on that edge over there, and she doesn't want to walk into line. And I don't know that we had quite the same degree of cooperation from her that we did the sheep that the young man in first had. I love I love your lines. I love the way you look. I love the eye contact. I think you have a very pleasant demeanor. You don't get rattled when the ewe lamb doesn't want to walk. You patiently work your way through that. Those are all things that I really appreciate and really want to commend in you. Congratulations in coming in second in this set out here. The young lady that's in third place, the silhouette on this sheep is absolutely stunning. I love the way she gets the neck up out of the ewe-lamb and really keeps her front end where it belongs. Sometimes the top gets a little bit off. Like right now, I don't think her top line looks as good as it could. I think if we were, there we go. That makes me much happier. So for me, there is a little bit of a difference inside there. As we rotated through the 3 sheep, I think from my own perspective, you had the biggest challenges with the other 2 sheep. But it's really splitting hairs in a very competitive set at the top end of this class, and I do want to commend all 3 of the exhibitors that are up here. The young man that's in 4th place with this big ewe lamb out here. This is a sheep. She's what, double your weight at least, maybe close to 3 times that. I think you do a nice job handling her. For me, top line gets off in her, kind of like the ewe lamb that's right ahead of you, that was ahead of you out here in this class. She's a sheep that wants to come apart in her loin hip junction. Sometimes got some really good looks out of it. Sometimes she kind of came apart there. And I think if we could have kept her together a bit better, I could have seen you up higher in this set. But you keep the feet and legs where they belong. She's not always the easiest. She's a sheep that takes some effort and energy. I think you definitely worked hard out here, and that's something I do appreciate. Young man that's coming in 5th place, I think you get that sheep stuck and you get her looking beautiful from the side view. She doesn't always want to cooperate a tremendous amount. She sometimes wants to pull back from you a bit. As much as anything, for me, it was being in the wrong spot a couple of times. When you walked back in, I was over on this side and you still stayed on this side. Couple of things like that in terms of situational awareness and understanding that maybe you should be on the other side of the sheep would have landed you higher up in this set today. Thank you.
We are currently showing our 2nd division of our 15-year-olds in the North Ring. At the conclusion of this heat, we will be picking our champion overall, 15-year-old Showman. Now entering our South Ring is our 1st division of 11-year-olds. We are now showing our 1st heat of 11-year-olds in our South Division. We're going to make that first call for Class 2E, our 2nd division of 11-year-olds. If you are in that 2nd division of 11-year-olds, you need to be headed toward the holding ring. If you are one of the 5 that were selected in our 1st heat of 15-year-olds, you need to be ringside and ready in our North Ring. Again, we want to put those 16-year-old showmen on alert. We will start the senior division in the first ring that is available. So I am putting you on warning. The first ring that comes available, we will be making that call for that first heat of 16-year-olds in our senior division once the first ring becomes available. In our 10-year-old division, our champion goes to Caston Caldwell. Our reserve champion goes to Jolie Nash. 3rd goes to Hadley Jones. 4th, Nathan Workman. 5th, Miles Birch. 6th goes to Caston Campbell. 7th goes to Cassie Warsman. 8th goes to Macy Beamer. 9th goes to George Swab. And 10th goes to Henley Bontrigger. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, let's please put our hands together for all the young 15-year-olds as we dismiss those out of the north ring and show our appreciation for their hard work. We are now bringing in our 15-year-old champion overall drive for our 15-year-olds in the north ring. I'm going to make that first call for our champion and reserve overall drive in our intermediate division. We will need those lambs ringside and ready at the conclusion of our 15-year-old division. We will need the following contestants back for our overall intermediate showman. In our 12-year-old division, we need Presley Johnson and Adeline Gillett. In our 13-year-old division, we'll need Marley Massey and Whitney Williams. In our 14-year-old division, we will need Hayden Bryant and Aria Nair. At the conclusion of this class in our north ring, we will be selecting our champion and reserve champion overall intermediate showman. Please have all those champion and reserve showmen ringside and ready at the conclusion of this 15-year-old division. We are currently showing the first heat of 11-year-olds in the south ring. If you are in the second heat, class 2E, you need to be in the holding ring at this time. As we dismiss this first heat of the young 11-year-old showman, please show your appreciation and put your hands together for a great set of young showmen that are leaving the ring at this time. We are now bringing in our second heat. We are now bringing in our second heat of 11-year-old showmen into the south ring at this time. We are now bringing in our second heat of 11-year-old showmen in the south ring at this time. Okay, we have made the decision on the senior showmanship. Our 16-year-old division will show in the north ring, and our 17-year-old division will show in the south ring. So we will show odd to evens All the even numbers in the senior division will show on our north ring, and all the odd number divisions will show in our south ring. So we're going to make that warning shot to our 16-year-olds in the first heat. You will show in the north ring. And we'll make that first shot, warning shot for our 17-year-olds in that first heat. You will show in the south ring at the conclusion of our champion drives of the junior and intermediate divisions. In our north ring, we are now picking our intermediate overall champion and reserve champion showman. In our 12-year-old division, our champion is Presley Johnson. Our reserve champion represented in that division is Adeline Gilliott. In our 13-year-old division, our champion is Marley Massey. Our reserve champion in our 13-year-old division went to Whitney Williams. Our champion in our 14-year-old division goes to Hayden Bryant. Our reserve champion is Aria Nyer. In our 15-year-old division, our champion is Hadley Arts. And our reserve champion is Marnie Richards. We are now selecting our champion and reserve champion intermediate showman. Our results from our 15-year-old age division. Our champion is Hadley Arts. Our reserve is Marnie Richards. Third goes to Chloe Nelson. Fourth goes to Lucy Schur. Fifth goes to Jillian Vogelswire. Sixth goes to Macklin Price. Seventh goes to Peyton Cartwright. Eighth goes to Grayson Alley Parks. Ninth goes to Sutton Weston. And 10th goes to Shelby Bays. We do need those champions and reserves from our 6 and 7-year-old division, 8-year-old division, 9-year-old division, and 10-year-old division ringside and ready for the conclusion of this drive of our overall 11-year-old champion. We need Brayley Newcomb, Corbin Reppy, Maddox Thompson, Cagney Kraft, Paisley Krangle, Betsy Youngpeter, Caston Caldwell, and Jolie Nash. Ringside and ready for our champion overall, junior showman. At this time, we are bringing in our first heat of 16-year-olds, Class 1J, to our north ring. In our north ring, we need to have ringside and ready The second heat of 16-year-olds, Class 2J, ringside and ready in our north ring. In our intermediate division, our champion comes from our 13-year-old division, Marley Massey. Our reserve champion comes from our 14-year-old division, Hayden Bryant. Please have those champions and reserve champion showmen from our 6-year-old or our 10-year-old divisions ringside and ready in our south ring. In our north ring, we need to have our second heat of 16-year-olds ringside and ready, Class 2J. In our senior division, we will show all the even ages in our north ring. In our senior division, we will show all the odd number ages in our south ring. We are missing our 9-year-old champion. That would be Paisley Krangle. We need you in the holding ring at this time, our 9-year-old champion. And I think I just saw her come into the ring. Please have that second heat of 16-year-olds, Class 2J, ringside and ready. Please put your hands together as we dismiss that first class of 16-year-old showmen from the ring, and let's show them our appreciation for the hard work they've done. We're now bringing in our second heat of 16-year-olds, Class 2J, into the north ring at this time. We're going to make that call for our third class of 16-year-old showmen, Class 3J. You need to be ringside and ready in the north ring. Going to make that first call for 16-year-old showmen, Class 3J, ringside and ready in our north ring.
Fun age group to sort, tremendous depth out here, and even with all the depth that we have in this division, the young lady that wins this wins it very logically in my mind. There's a degree of ring intelligence in terms of how she moves herself around. She always makes sure to leave a good gap between her and the next sheep. If something happens or if she gets bunched up on from behind, she's still got some space to move forward and work. And I think the young lady in second experienced that, where the sheep behind you got bunched up on top of you over here at the end when we were rotating through the three, and it cost you a bit because you didn't have room in front of you to move and the person behind you was right on top of you. But so there's an example of why that's so important out here. But honestly, the way you handle yourself around the ring, you know what's going on, you're paying attention to me, you're checking in on the sidelines, which apparently we have to do all the time, but you did very little of that and gave me the majority of your attention, and I really do appreciate that a great deal. Again, tough class and a convincing win. Nice work. Young lady that's in second place. Love the way you keep the head up and out of this sheep. I like the eye contact. I like your posture in front of the sheep. I like the way you keep yourself and the sheep collected. I got a lot of good looks at the sheep. When we rotated through at the end, we had a little bit of a traffic jam that cost you some points, and that made it easy to go ahead and go with the young lady that beat you in this class. But tough class, very commendable placing coming in second in that group. So congratulations and thank you. Again, as we rotated through the final three sheep at the end of it, I do think the young lady with the big black lamb had as much of a challenge as anybody as we rotated through those sheep. What I really want to call out on her, this sheep's always set, always looks good. She knows where I'm at. She knows where he's at. She can tell when his hind legs are off, and she gets right on it and takes care of it. Like the posture, the eye contact. I like how pleasant you are to work with out in the ring. And again, tough set. Very, very good job. Congratulations coming in third. Young lady that's in fourth place, I'd like to see a little less slapping or a little less hitting of this sheep to get you up higher in this set for me. That's something I do want to call out. Top will sometimes come down in the ewe-lamb. I know you got to work to get her top back up where it belongs. Legs were always on point. You kept her head up. You always knew where I was at. All of those things I really appreciate a great deal. And we had some challenges with the top line and the weather in fifth. He wants to get a little soft and a little easy at times. And I don't want him to look tight-spined out here, but I thought he looked a little loose or a little off at times. That's why I went ahead and pulled you in fifth when I did. Thank you.
At this time in our south ring, we are picking our champion and reserve overall junior showman. In our 6 to 7-year-old division, our champion is represented by Brayley Newcomb. Our reserve champion in our 6 to 7-year-old division is represented by Corbin Reppy. In our 8-year-old division, our champion is represented by Maddox Thompson, and our reserve is represented by Cagney Kraft. In our 9-year-old division, our champion is represented by Paisley Krangle, and our reserve is represented by Betsy Youngpeter. In our 10-year-old division, our champion is represented by Caston Caldwell, and our 10-year-old is represented by Jaylee Nash. In our 11-year-old division, our champion is represented by Macy Zerbach, and our reserve is represented by Braylee Bollinger. We are now selecting our champion and reserve champion overall, Junior Showman. In our 11-year-old division, our results are our champion goes to Macy Zerbach. Our reserve goes to Brindley Bollinger. Third goes to Harper Herman. Fourth goes to Waylon Holly. Fifth goes to Lainey Thomas. Sixth goes to Brooklyn Johnson. Seventh goes to Rowan Ward. Eighth goes to Aubrey Briera. Ninth goes to Harris Barnes. And 10th goes to Savannah Artman. We are now selecting our champion in reserve in our junior division. We are now bringing our third division of 16-year-old showmen to the ring at this time. We're bringing in Class 3J in our 16-year-old division at this time. We need to have that first heat of 17-year-olds in the holding ring in our south ring at this time. If you are in the first heat of 17-year-olds, Class 1K, you need to be in the ring at this time.
I do think you guys could go ahead and put your hands together and give those kids a round of applause. We had a lot of really good, really young showmen out here. The young lady that ended up winning this division, I think I made it pretty clear when she did win. I was awfully fond of her and the job that she did, and so congratulations to her. Young man coming out of our second age group just did such a nice job with that ULAM, going up and down and being comfortable in both places, and all the way, though, such a wonderful set of young showmen out here, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work with them today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to congratulate our champion junior showman goes to Macy Zerbach. And our reserve in our junior division goes to Maddox Thompson out of our 8-year-old division. We are now showing our first heat of 17-year-olds in the South Ring, Class 1K. They are now showing our first heat of 17-year-olds in the South Ring, Class 1K. If you are in the second heat of 17-year-olds, you need to be ringside and in the holding ring at this time. We need those 16-year-olds that were selected in heat 1 and 2 ringside and ready. We will show for our champion overall showman at the conclusion of the third heat of 16-year-olds in the north ring. Going to make that call for the second class of 17-year-olds in the holding ring in the south ring. We need those second heat in the holding ring at this time, and that is class 2K. You need to be in the holding ring in the south ring at this time. Last call for class 2K in the 17-year-old heat. You need to be in the holding ring at this time. Class 2K needs to be in the holding ring at this time. If you are in the 16-year-old division and you were one of the selections from heat 1 or 2 in that 16-year-old division, you need to be ringside and ready at this time. If you would, please show your appreciation to that last division of 16-year-olds as they leave the division. We are now selecting our overall 16-year-old showman in our north ring at this time. We are now selecting our overall 16-year-old showman in our north ring at this time. As we dismiss that first class and division of our 17-year-old division, please put your hands together and show your appreciation for those young people's hard work. We are now bringing in our second division of 17-year-olds, Class 2K, are coming into the South Ring at this time. Class 2K are entering the South Ring at this time. We need to have that first class of 18-year-olds for the first heat in our North Ring, Class 1L in the holding ring. First division of our 18-year-olds, Class 1L, need to be in the holding ring in our North Ring. We need to have that third heat of our 17-year-olds in the holding ring at this time. Our third heat, Class 3K in the holding ring at this time. If you are in the first heat of 18-year-olds, you need to be ringside and ready on our North Ring. That is Class 1L in our North Ring. You need to be in the holding area. If you are in the third and last heat of 17-year-olds, you need to be in the south holding ring at this time. And if you are in the 18-year-old first heat, you need to be in the north holding ring at this time. We are now showing our final heat of 17-year-olds in our south ring, so we do need those young people that were selected from our first two divisions to be ringside and ready. We have concluded and we're showing the first heat of 18-year-olds in our north ring. Our champion in our 16-year-old division is Kobe Scroggins. Our reserve champion goes to Leighton Lawhone. Third goes to Laney Pop. Fourth goes to Carly Macy. Fifth goes to Molly Wilson. Sixth goes to Lucy Casera. Seventh goes to Kinley Doll. 8th goes to Carson Schaefer. 9th goes to Cade Schaefer. And 10th goes to Tatum Minley. In our 18-year-old division, we need to have that Class 2L ringside and ready. If you're an 18-year-old and you're in the second heat, you need to be ringside and ready, Class 2L. We're now bringing the second heat of 18-year-olds into the north ring, Class 2L is now coming into the north ring. We will show for our champion overall 18-year-old showman at the conclusion of this heat. We are now showing for our champion overall 17-year-old showman in our south ring. We are now showing for our champion overall 17-year-old showman in our south ring. We're going to make that first call for our 19-year-old division, and there is just one heat of our 19-year-olds. We're going to make that first call for you to come to the south holding ring. First call for our 19-year-old showman to our south holding ring. We are now bringing in the 18-year-old division overall showman to the ring at this time. We are now showing for overall champion 18-year-old division in the north ring at this time. Going to make that first call for our 20-year-old plus class. They will show at the conclusion of our champion 18-year-old drive. We should have all our 19-year-old showmen in the south holding ring, and you will show at the conclusion of our overall 17-year-old drive. Going to make that final call for that 20-year-old class on the north ring. You need to be ringside and ready if you are in the 20-year-old division. If you are in the 19-year-old division, we're making the final call for you in the south ring. You need to be ringside and ready. You want me to announce?
Deep water, very, very deep water out here in this particular age group. I will say the young man that won the class, there was a degree of calmness as he came into the ring. There were no noises, there was no activity. It was highly appropriate and very effective from the moment he walked into the ring until the end. I think as he rotated through the four animals, we got as good a looks out of him as we got out of anybody. I think he approached things very calmly and methodically, never seemed to get frazzled, nervous, no noises. I'm impressed. Very, very nice job. And that is not to take anything away from second through fifth in this class. I think this has been a tremendous age group to work through. Young lady that's in second, I'm impressed. I'm impressed you held on to him over here. I'm impressed I didn't land on my ass when he jumped up in the air. I'm about the least coordinated human on the planet, and I kept myself up and you caught him and life was grand. Young man in front of you is awfully good. You're awfully good as well. Congratulations on your second place finish out here. Young lady that's in third place, truly appreciate the fact that you took the split second to stand back as we rotated through the sheep and evaluate them and look at them and see what they looked like. That means a lot. You genuinely care about getting the job done and getting it done very effectively. This is entirely splitting hairs. I have zero criticisms for you. I have zero things to say that you did wrong out here. And I'm going to say the same thing through all five of you out here. I'm highly impressed. Great work. Sorry it didn't work out. It may have worked out differently with somebody else up here on the microphone today. Young man that's in fourth place, for me as we rotated through the sheep and we looked at the four of them in the finals here as everybody was holding on to him, top was down a couple of times, I think, comparatively speaking. Small, minute differences. You get this sheep looking like $1 million. I love where you have the head and the neck placement. It's not too far back over the sheep's spine. I don't like them arched back over their body. I love the way you get his front end up in him. You know where I'm at. You know what he's supposed to look like and where all four legs are at all times. Congratulations on a great job out here. Young man that's in fifth, great presence, great eye contact. For me, there was a little too much activity, too much noise. She's tired. She's wore out. You're having to work on her to get her moving, and there was just not as much cooperation or teamwork coming out of her this late in the day, and I think that's what landed you in the fifth spot. Thank you.
We are now showing for our champion overall 19-year-old showman in our south ring, and we are getting ready to enter our champion overall 20-plus showman in our north ring. Our placings in our 17-year-old division. Zane Downey is our champion, 17-year-old showman. Our reserve champion showman goes to Landry Lane. Third goes to Jaden Herzog. Fourth goes to Dawson Staley. Fifth goes to Caden Dare. Sixth goes to Abby Snyder. Seventh goes to Mason Quinn. Eighth goes to Adeline Bryant. Ninth goes to Grace Moore. And 10th goes to Addison Thompson. In our 18-year-old division, our champion goes to Sydney Brader. Our reserve champion goes to Allison Van Nerden. Third goes to Lillian Burgett. Fourth goes to Jalen Clement. Fifth goes to Wyatt Nixon. Sixth goes to Hannah Hayes Ware. Seventh goes to Haley Lazanier. Eighth goes to Mara Swars. Ninth goes to Danny Wares. And 10th goes to Kale Anderson. We will need those champions and reserves for our overall showman at the conclusion of these two classes. So I will make that first call for Kobe Scroggins, Leighton Lawhone, Zane Downey, Landry Lane, Sydney Brader, Allison Van Nerden. You need to be ringside and ready. And we'll bring those to the south holding ring. Please bring all those senior champions to the south holding ring when we get ready for our Supreme Drive. We are waiting for our champion and reserve champion 16-year-olds in the holding ring. We need Kobe Scroggins and Leighton Lawhone to the holding ring. We need those champion and reserves from our 16-year-old division.
Nice set of showmen out here in this age group. 3 really competitive exhibitors up here at the top end. I think the young lady with the sheep in first, super solid, always on point, always got the sheep set up where she needed to be, how she needed to be, got the top up. As we rotated through, I think you did the best job of the 3 exhibitors with the other 2 animals. I want to congratulate you on that as well. Nice job. Great presence, great eye contact. I like the posture. Very, very good. Young lady with the ewe lamb in second. When you get her stuck and stuck right, she's as pretty as a picture. Sometimes she gets a little lazy. I realize it's been a long day. Top would come down. Hind legs would maybe be out just a tick further than they needed to be. But when we rotated through the animals, you also were very competitive with the other 2 sheep. Got great looks out of them. Very pleasant, great presence and posture. And I like the way you handle yourself around the front end of an animal a great deal. Young man in third, I think when you get this sheep set, you're super efficient about it. You get the job done very quickly. There's no muss, no fuss, no noise. That black ewe lamb flat hates you, though. So she was not your friend when it was all said and done. But in terms of how you got him stuck, really appreciate the efficiency. There were no wasted movements. One of the legs started out in the right place, and you just set the other 3 around it. And I really appreciated that. Nice work. Remaining 2 young ladies out here in the final 5. For me, both of you, I think we had some challenges with the top line in these sheep in terms of keeping them up where they belonged at all times. But feet and legs were always on point. You always knew where I was at. You moved around the ring quite nicely. Really a nice job ending up in the top 5 out here in another competitive age range. So thank you.
In our 19-year-old division, our champion goes to Paige Christensen. Reserve goes to Emily Schillingberg. Third goes to Branson Belleville. Fourth goes to Emma Kurtzwell. Fifth goes to Marissa Patterson. Sixth goes to Linza Swaggart. Seventh goes to Braylon Collar. Eighth goes to Caitlin McMillan. Ninth goes to Jared France. And 10th goes to Isabella Lazar. If you have a lamb in pin 72, you need to go back and attend to that sheep. If you have a lamb in pin 72, you need to go back and attend to that sheep. Our results of our class, our age division 20 and 21-year-old division, our champion goes to Grace McCurdy. Our reserve champion goes to Emma Haig. Third goes to Katie Walkington. Fourth goes to Frankie Travis. Fifth goes to Seth Aarons. Sixth goes to Eli Vincent. Seventh goes to Anna Reed. Eighth goes to Channing LaRue. Ninth goes to Maggie Sue Spencer. And 10th goes to Lauren Fry. We need to have all those champions and reserves from our senior division in the South Holding Ring, and we will shortly be showing for our Supreme Champion overall senior showman. At this time, we're going to bring our champions and reserves in for our senior division. In our 16-year-old division, our champion is represented by Kobe Scroggins. Our reserve champion is represented by Linton Lawhone. In our 17-year-old division, our champion is Zane Downey. Our reserve champion is represented by Landry Lane. In our 18-year-old division, our champion is Sydney Brader. Our reserve is represented by Allison Van Nerden. In our 19-year-old division, our champion is Paige Christensen. In our 19-year-old division, our reserve is Emily Schillingberg. And in our 20-year-old division, our champion is represented by Grace McCurdy, and our reserve is represented by Emma Haig. We are now selecting our champion and reserve champion, senior showman. Our champion senior showman comes out of our 17-year-old division, Zane Downey. Our reserve champion senior showman comes out of our 20-year-old division and goes to Grace McCurdy. We do want to thank our judges this evening, Greg A. Hart from Sacramento, California, and Nick Enfield from Maxwell, Iowa. Thank you to everyone. Have a good evening, and we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 a.m. for our Market Lamb show here at this ring.